Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? So today I want to tell you how I was asked recently to interpret a young lady's dream. Now, after I interpreted her dream, I realized that there were a lot of lessons that I could learn about that for myself. That in her dream, I realized that the core message there is that you got to be true to who you are, and you cannot allow fear to stop you from accomplishing or being who you say you want to be or who you think that you want to be. So here is how the dream started. The dream started that she was with her significant other and they were at an event. Well, at this event, they were backstage because he was part of the event that was going on. And when it came time for him to walk out onto the stage with everyone else who was part of the event, they asked for the significant others of those people to come on stage with them. Now, when he walked out on stage, the lights were bright and there were tens and thousands of people in the audience. Well, in her heart, she knew she should walk out on that stage. But then she had this voice that was telling her, don't go. Don't step out on the stage. People will see you. You don't like crowds and people will look at you. They may criticize you. They may have things to say about you. You know, in your life, people have criticized you and they've talked about you. And they've said so many things to you that it puts you on the defensive. And it puts you on such a defensive that you are now afraid to go out and be the authentic self that you know that you are. To work at full capacity. To live at full capacity. To love at full capacity. You won't do that anymore. Why? Because you've been trained to live off fear, to live off doubt. You know, when you were a small child and you was learning how to walk, you stood up. You decided you was going to walk. You stood up and you may have fallen. You stood up and you may have fallen again. You may have repeated this process 50 to 100 times. But eventually you began to walk because there was no fear of criticism. There was no fear, no doubt that you were not going to accomplish this task of walking. It was for you. It was the only thing that you were going to focus on because it was something that you knew you had to have in your life for yourself. Look at you now. Now you've been filled with so much fear and doubt because people have criticized you for becoming the person that you say that you are, for doing certain things, for dressing a certain way, for walking a certain way, for being in certain environments. You've been criticized to the point where now before you even walk out onto the stage of life, you're concerned about what other people say. You're already on the defensive if anybody says the smallest thing to you. But you got to let that go. You see, by the time she realized that she should walk out there on the stage and stand next to her man, he had already left the stage. You see, he stood on the stage by himself, all the while believing that she was going to stand there next to him. But now he stood on the stage by himself, and now as him, and the rest walked away, she decided to run up to the stage, but he was gone. And when she found him, he was sitting alone. And when she walked up and started to speak to him, he didn't recognize who she was. You see, when you tell somebody that you are going to do something, that you are something, but then you don't fulfill it with the actions to back up the words that you spoke, you become a shadow, a hologram, a mere illusion of who you said that you were. And when someone stands alone in front of the bright lights at that moment when they realize that you should have been there with them, they realize that they were standing alone, that you were not there, that you're just a shadow, a hologram. The worst part is that you become a shadow, a hologram, an illusion to yourself. When you don't fulfill who you say that you are, when you don't fulfill your full capacity, then you become a shadow of who you believe that you are. Now you may say that you're going to speak things into the atmosphere. You may say that you're going to touch and agree on something. You may say that you have faith about something. But if you don't walk it out in action, then truly you do not. You see, the law of attraction in prayer does not work without action. You see, in order for there to be the attraction, there must be action. In order for the prayer to be fulfilled, there must be action. You can't pray to live in California and expect California to come to you. You can't pray for the lights to stay on, but never pay the electric bill. You have to commit to the action that brings about the attraction. Or I can say you have to be the causal factor to bring about the effect. Because see, the kingdom is inside you and it's all around you. But you've been taught to be a slave, to wait for the kingdom that's above. But if you understand the axiom, as above, so below, then you would know that the kingdom is inside you and all around you, and that in order for you to be a master of the kingdom above, you have to be a master of the kingdom below. Because as long as you're not, then you are a slave to the kingdom below, as well as a slave to the kingdom above. So you have to choose whether you're going to be the master or you're going to be a slave. And if you're born into this reality, then you have a divineness within you that allows you to become the master of yourself, the master of your divinity, the master of your life and of your walk, the master of all things that you survey. It is within you. It is part of you. But you have to decide to do it, to be it. And until you make that decision, you will continue to be a slave, and you will continue to receive in life whatever it is that you receive. You see, she had lost the one that she loved because she had become a shadow of who she was. You will lose not only every opportunity, but you will lose every person, and most importantly, the worst thing, you will lose yourself if you allow fear, the ideas of others, the comments and criticism of others. You allow doubt, and the doubt of others, that self-doubt and the doubt of others, to decide on in your life what is and what is not, what is proper and what is not, what is love and what is not, what is actionable and what is not, what is entrepreneurship and what is not, what is your career and what is not, who you should be around and who you should not. As long as you allow other people to decide that, then your life is controlled by them and you are a slave. Now, my greatness is non-negotiable, so I am a master. And if you want to be a master, then you have to realize that your greatness is non-negotiable, and that the only person that you truly have to satisfy is yourself. So look in the mirror, ask yourself, am I being all that I am? Am I playing all out? Am I on top of my game? Am I the master of my domain? If you cannot answer yes, then you are a slave, and you need to make a decision and then walk it out in action. Understand, get the knowledge, have the understanding, and then walk it out so that you can attract the master to you. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy yourself. And from here on, we going all out.